everyone, how are you? So today is Wednesday for our weekly Wednesday meetings. Today was a Q&A, and I'm going to just talk about some of the questions so that others may actually also maybe learn from this, and so that I hope it's helpful. So I had someone who jumped on the call, and the question was that they are actually taking Agile because Agile is part of a PMP. There's some questions in the Agile part of it, and so she wanted to do that. Plus, also once we talked about her work, she does manage some people who actually are developers, and they use Agile on the development side. She happens to be someone who works in the healthcare field, and she was telling me that what they found out is that Agile works very well for the developers side, but then when you come to the side where it's operations and provider side, like on the front end of things, we usually call it the back end and the front end. So the front end of things in healthcare, they found out that it actually doesn't work. And I told her, yep, that is very true. So here's my suggestion in light exactly of the changes, especially that PMP has done, or PMI has done, in order to bring forth the 7th edition, where they changed some things. And actually, let me bring that up. I'm gonna just change this a little bit. Let's change. Okay, this is specifically the slide actually where things changed from the 6th edition to the 7th edition. I did share a little bit of this slide in one of the videos, which we'll talk about before. And, the slide was talking about what the changes are, and therefore how to manage your project as you go forward. In this context, however, what I want to show is that due to the pandemic, especially, PMI realized that, we have to be where things are not very rigid, things are flexible. When I say things, I mean the methodologies that we use are flexible. So specifically, if you see that before, these were the main things that they did. They had the knowledge areas, and then they had the project management processes. When you come to the 7th edition, they call them principles. So these are things we have to keep in mind and use, as we manage our projects. So like principles. And the domains really are what we need the activities to use in order to manage our projects. So having said that, what I want to talk about here specifically is really the tailoring piece of it, and the adaptability and resiliency, and also change, okay? So in the context of the question that was asked, whereby you have some areas where waterfall, or the predictive method of managing a project or implementation of a project, software, or anything else, works better with waterfall versus Agile. That is where we actually have to learn to do the hybrid, where sometimes we have to work with what is working well, and then the other, what is, working well with the other piece of the project. Okay, so in this case, we had a discussion that I think what they're doing is actually on point. It's not that they just don't want to use Agile on the front end. Me having a background, it just so happens that she also works in healthcare, but having a background in healthcare, found that unless you're on the developer side, on the development, the software development and doing what they need to do, that's where you can use Agile. You use the Agile, you do the sprints, you do the work, the backlogs as they're called. You test that out, make sure it's working before you move on to the other piece. That works really, really well. When, however, you come to the operation side, which is on the front end of, the equation or the software, you find that for industries where there are so many dependencies that have to be in place before something can work down the line, the best way to do that is through the predictive or waterfall methodology. Okay, so in that case, it's not wrong. And I was saying that, waterfall has gotten a bad rap, that, it's the old world and all of that. But I have to say that it may seem old, but it works in some cases. Okay, so we have to use one of the things that actually this Pembroke 7th edition also really talks about, and it's actually how they do the testing, is where we use the hybrid methodology or the hybrid method. You use some where it's agile, and then some where it's predictive. So all in all I'm saying is that as we go forward, we just need to remember that we have to tailor and adapt the projects that we work on, the projects we work with, to suit what works best, because that's the only way that we really can be stewards, which is this, it comes to this, stewards of the project, to make sure that they're actually successful from beginning to end. So that's my, quick tip that I have to give today. So make sure that as you go there, if you haven't started yet, or if you're working on projects, that use the methods that actually work best for your project. I know Agile sounds cool and everyone is on the bandwagon for Agile, nothing wrong with that. However, we need to remember that in the end, we want the project to be successful. So let us remember to do that. It's either predictive, agile, or we can use both. Nothing wrong with either one. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask. You can post them in the chat or in the comment section, and I'll be happy to answer that. Otherwise, I hope this was helpful. Have a great day. Bye-bye.